Happy 80th birthday, Baptcare. When Marita Munro and I were preparing a history of Baptcare, we decided to call it Doing What Comes Naturally, because that was what drove the Victorian Baptist Women's Association to drive the creation of Strathalan.
I'm standing here in front of Strathalan Homestead, which the homestead originally purchased by the Baptist Union in Victoria back in 1945, and that was the very beginning of the Strathalan story. It's developed into a remarkable story in terms of aged care in Victoria, and it's been a testament to the commitment of the Baptist Union and what is now Baptcare. Think back for a moment to the world in 1944. Australia was at war. Many men were away serving in the military. Many women had gone into non-traditional roles to help with the labour shortage. It was in this context that Reverend and Mrs. Pope, supported and enabled by the Women's Auxiliary, determined that there should be care for elderly people within the Baptist community. It was a remarkable and in many ways a counterintuitive decision.
Mary and her ladies stormed the BUV assembly and demanded a hearing for this project to create Strathalan, and so powerful and forceful and determined were they that that's what happened.
Strathalan opened its doors to residents in 1945 in a spirit of great anticipation and celebration. Indeed, somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 people arrived on site for the opening ceremony at a time when the Baptist community in Victoria was just slightly over 100,000 people.
And the Strathalan that they built was a wonderful remote farm homestead, and the original residents, 24 of them, were quite healthy aged people, and they were able to grow much of their own food on the site.
Looking at the minutes from the 27th of September 1944, I note that with the appointment of Mr. and Mrs. Butler as the first superintendent and matron, Mr. Butler responded that he believed it was evidently God's will for him to do something of this kind. As long as they could make ends meet, he and his wife were satisfied, not being out to make a fortune. They wanted to get onto the property before the season was too late to set things growing in the garden.
But almost from the beginning, Strathalan grew. People wanted to come here and accommodation for them had to be built. And then this Baptist yearning to provide aged care spread into Melbourne and Victoria and Tasmania, and the building has not ceased. Until today, even this beautiful place, Strathalan, would be unrecognisable to the original inhabitants of the homestead.
Reflecting on Strathalan's history today, two things strike me. The first thing that comes to my mind is the idea that Strathalan was a pioneer. The community was brought together through pioneering spirit, enterprise, endeavour and commitment. The second thing is that Strathalan is a survivor. As the society around it has changed fundamentally, Strathalan has also changed and grown over the years to continue to be relevant and important in the lives of people and a crucial time in their lives.
Women have been vital to the work of Baptcare in every sphere. From Mary Pope, the dynamic leader of the Strathalan group, to every person who has donated and given and volunteered. And much of Baptcare's work has depended on the generosity and bequests of women, many of them single women, who inherited property and then gave it to Baptists to use.
The Strathalan story is also, of course, the genesis of Baptcare, because it flowed from the idea to extend the provision of social services throughout Victoria within the Baptist Union. Now, at the time, at least in the 1940s and 50s, this was also a slightly controversial idea, as many Baptists felt that focus should be put on building the kingdom of God through evangelism rather than focusing upon social welfare. Nonetheless, from the 1950s, there's been a continual expansion of social services arising from the Strathalan story.
The researching and writing of this history of Baptcare was an exhilarating, a challenging, a joyous process. It's truly remarkable the range of work that has been achieved over the last 80 years, and it has been an absolute privilege to be part of it in writing the story.
When I wrote this book 30 years ago, I was a young academic. I'd just finished my PhD. At that stage, I was becoming aware of the importance of aged care. But I think now, 30 years on, I reflect that my dad is now 87, and he's at that stage of life where looking after him is a very important part of life. And it's made me think much more about what we do as a society and need to do as a society to look after people in their last stage of life, and how important that is not just for them, but also for those who love them.
There has been so much magnificent development from this humble beginning with the homestead to the beautiful modern facilities that everybody enjoys. So congratulations on 80 wonderful years, BAPCare.